I was told that I should talk under the title of Continuities and Innovations, the changing scholarly communication landscape. So what I thought I'd do today is to talk about how we, just one publishing company, Elsevier, is trying to change. And for some of you who have been in meetings where I was able to, excuse me, talk about this, it would be relatively repetitive, but we are really trying as a company to be an ambidextrous company, to be able to write with both hands, because history of Elsevier has always been trying to publish content. That's what we've been doing for over 100 years, and that's what the system knows how to do within our talented people. But that's just not good enough going forward. And that's what I'd like to talk about today with you. And then hopefully the Q&A session is actually open to anything else that you want to talk about. So before I dive into talking about science itself, I want to talk a little bit about the story of science fiction. Just last Saturday, I understand the popular TV series Doctor Who had its season finale. I suppose some of you may have watched. I actually wasn't here to watch it, but as some of you know, Doctor Who is a show about a hero who travels through space and time using something called TARDIS, a spacecraft disguised as a police phone box, to save species across the universe. I won't spoil you with anything that actually happened in that finale, but what I appreciate about this franchise is its ability to take the audience on such diverse range of adventures that in any given episode the Doctor can step out of the TARDIS and into anywhere in the Globe Theatre stage during Elizabethan times to a Mars space odyssey. But a few constants are always present. The first is that the Doctor always uses his cleverness to solve problems, and the second is that TARDIS always takes him exactly where he needs to be. These two dynamics of the show share similarities with my overall conceptions of the research landscape. For example, the Doctor might use his cleverness to make an invention that prevents aliens from invading London. Similarly, researchers might use their intelligence to discover a cure for disease or to develop new gene therapy technologies. But without the support network, neither would be able to make as valuable of an impact. For the Doctor, that support is usually TARDIS, which offers insights about each new planet and, more importantly, gets him to where he needs to go to help the most people. For researchers, support comes from many, many parties, including the libraries, the universities, the funding bodies, and sometimes publishers. As one part of that support network, I view our role in publishing, in supporting researchers, as similar to that of TARDIS, namely to put researchers in the best position to succeed. So today, allow me to share my perspective on major changes in the research landscape and how we as publishers must do our part. As STM publishers, our core role is to support the research community, and right now the research landscape is changing relatively dramatically. It's easy to fixate on the issues that apply most specifically to publishing, but to really understand the big picture, I'm going to take a step back and zoom out to take into account the bigger trends there. The first trend is just a growth, just a rapid growth. There's an undeniable growth in the world. First, in the input side, you see that the R&D expenditure and human capital, the number of R&D personnel, is just growing very, very fast. Over the past 1.5 decades, especially, that growth is coming not only from the established developed economies like the UK and the US, but it did more so from the developing nations, the emerging nations. And the funding for research, scientific research, is growing very, very rapidly. And this year alone, we expect that to be around $1.6 trillion. The second evidence of the growth is the research output. Here in this case, the number of publications. More research is being produced than ever before from both the developed and the emerging nations. And the estimate today is that the amount of research output is doubling every 9 years. That's a lot to absorb, and it is cumulative. We are also seeing fierce competition for research funding. The funding bodies are increasingly taking on a venture capital mentality, VC mentality, making fewer but bigger bets, like the Horizon 2020, the Human Brain Project. Researchers must work harder to earn increasingly scarce grants. As you can see in the US, less than 20% of the applications successfully obtains grants from NIH. And the total number of recipients has halved in the last 30 years. Furthermore, these researchers who do obtain grants are facing increased pressure to produce tangible impacts, as government and funding bodies are increasingly demanding quantifiable results to determine the benefits of using public tax dollar. We're also seeing more international collaboration, a very positive trend, I must say, as collaboration is proving to increase research productivity and importance. Over the past decade, international collaboration has steadily increased, and while collaboration in research is nothing new, today's technology allows researchers to do so much more easily and more frequently as well. Today's research landscape is also becoming increasingly data-driven. The amount of digital data produced globally doubles every 2 years. Now, new technologies and analytical tools are allowing us to study massive data sets for key pattern recognition and finding in ways that were not possible with just a human hand and brain. Looking at big data to make evidence-based decisions about where to spend money allows countries and institutions to maintain their competitive advantage. After all, you are definitely competing with each other. These changes place new pressures on all players in our scientific research ecosystem. As researchers adapt to these shifts, we, as their support system, must also adapt. While change may seem daunting, it gives us an opportunity to innovate and to grow. It is a push for the entire ecosystem to evolve, not only to survive, but to actually thrive. So how are publishers adapting to support researchers as they navigate this very challenging landscape? To answer this, let me first return to the story of Doctor Who. 12 actors have portrayed the Doctor over the series run. And with each regeneration, the Doctor's appearance, personality, and priorities all change slightly. The Doctor's modus operandi is always evolving, and to fit each new style, the TARDIS also adapts by transforming its interior. By contrast, for example, the interior of the 11th Doctor TARDIS, with its warm lighting and household items, including a gramophone and typewriter, created an inviting domestic atmosphere for the husband and wife traveling on board. By contrast, the 12th TARDIS Doctor had it filled with bookcases, chalkboards, and scholarly armchair, better suited to this Doctor's more serious personality. Similarly, we as publishers need to have a deep understanding of who researchers are, how they work, what their priorities are to help them address these changes in the research landscape. And if we zoom in on researchers' priorities, we find that their role is far from simple. While most researchers begin as students, as their career progresses, they take on more and more responsibilities and wear many different hats, that of a researcher, reviewer, writer, collaborator, editor, and of course, professor. And as they climb their mountainous career path, they face major decisions and new pressures at every bend and key juncture. While not every researcher wants to reach the top of the mountain, everybody wants to have an impact and needs to find a way to surmount the obstacle they face along the way. that is a long journey of theirs. Given this demanding environment, our duty as publishers is to be their guide. Just as TARDIS adapts to fit the Doctor's needs, we as publishers, we're trying to fit the changing needs of the researchers. With this goal in mind, we're increasingly moving beyond content, developing digital tools and services and solutions that complement our existing offerings. While content is king and will continue to be the foundation of our industry, technology has given us the opportunity to expand our core role and cater to researchers' many other needs in new ways. We're now acting as technology providers, developing new platforms and online tools that analyze content to provide intuitive, meaningful answers. And with these tools, we are helping researchers maximize efficiency and save time as they address each of their various responsibilities. Allow me to give you a few examples of how our solutions can help answer some of the questions researchers regularly face. First question, how can I find the exact information that I need? Search and discovery of information is one of the most important parts of the researcher workflow. But given researchers' busy schedules, finding the time to sift through all the available information is becoming almost impossible. One way we're addressing this problem is through the reuse of the content, which allows our users to interact with our content in a new, insightful ways. To reuse content, we adapt our content on domain-specific platforms that can pull information from thousands of other sources other than our own information at Elsevier and make it searchable and sortable through one centralized program. Geofacets is one Elsevier product that reuses content in this manner to improve the efficiency of geological research. Geofacets is a searchable database of almost 400,000 geological maps sourced from our own century-long publications of journals, as well as content coming from other geological societies, such as the Geological Society of America, Geological Society of London, Society for Sedimentary Geology, and Society of Economic Geology. Geofacets combines georeference data and peer-reviewed content and a powerful search functionality allowing users to search maps geographically or by keyword. We have taken all those maps from the years and renamed them using a new taxonomy, and then we used Google Map to re-put the coordinates so that you can search more accurately, because all the authors in the past have used their own nomination for the maps and you can't find them sometimes. Let's say you look for Nigeria Basin, some are called West Africa Basin, you'll never come across that. By simply selecting an area of the map, users can instantly view all the available maps in that region, displayed in these blue clusters here, and then as thumbnails at the bottom of the screen. By clicking on one of these clusters, users can access a wide range of information, including the details of the map, its source, and the option to download the map on a computer. For geoscientists, this has turned research that once involved 7 time-consuming steps into quick 2 clicks. And more importantly, it saves time to the tune of 100 to 1 ratio. So with Geofacets, they can now seamlessly migrate between or combine content from what is normally a disparate source of content. Second question, how can I analyze my performance or my institution's performance? As researchers vie for funding grants and research institutions develop long-term strategies, some key questions they might ask are, how impactful has my research been? How impactful is it in the top research discipline? How frequently do researchers at my institution collaborate with other institutions internationally, even with corporations or domestically? To help researchers and research executives answer these questions, With data and evidence rather than just speculation and anecdotes, we have something called Scival. And pulling from our rich abstract and citation database of Scopus, Scival combines data and performance metrics to create graphs and infographics on the research performance at the country level, at the regional, institutional, departmental, all the way down to a single researcher. And it does various comparisons and evaluations. Comparisons can be made in a variety of dimensions, such as publication output, citations, and collaboration ratio. For example, they can determine which researchers have published most in a given research category, which institutions receive the most amount of citations, or what countries have produced research in top-tier percentile. Another researcher question could be, how can I track and publicize my work? It's equally important for researchers and institutions to track their work and be able to publicize it. We're helping them do that using something called Pure. Pure is a CRIS, Current Research Information System, that allows for planning, evaluation, and reporting of institutional research activities. It does this by aggregating and normalizing an institution's internal, external, and legacy data sources into a single platform. The information covers grant applications, research income, projects, research outputs, research staff, organizational units, external collaboration, and many, many other things. And compiling this into an easy-to-use dashboard and tools, we hope decreases the administrative workloads and improves reliability and comparability with other institutions. Pure also helps showcase individual accomplishments externally by building unique researcher profile on its expert portal. The expert portal automatically compiles standard information like CVs and the key performance metrics and combines it with our exclusive fingerprint engine to create unique, viewable fingerprints that profile a researcher's strength, interest, as well as impact. In this way, researchers can become more easily discoverable to peers and can publicize their scholarly contribution without the extra burdens of maintaining such external pages. Another question, how can I find peers to collaborate with? As research becomes more collaborative, researchers also need to be able to find peers to collaborate with, and they need a fast and easy way to do so. At Elsevier, we're facilitating this through the use of Mendeley. With its user-friendly interface and built-in organizational features, Mendeley makes it easy for researchers to keep track of their documents and references. Of particular interest here, however, is how Mendeley enables researchers to identify and collaborate online with other scholars from across the globe. They can create private groups with peers to share documents directly. Alternatively, users can discuss scientific trends and the merits of specific papers in public discussion groups and discussion boards. Today, Mendeley has over 3 million registered users, 250,000 groups that have been formed by them, and over 500 million uploaded documents across multiple devices, and making sharing work as easy as for a researcher as it is for Doctor Who to step out of TARDIS. Now, to briefly come back to my example of Doctor Who, the TARDIS is a show. TARDIS in the show supplies the Doctor with many, many sophisticated tools that offer new insights, including space telescopes and encyclopedias on the universe's history. Importantly, these various gadgets communicate with each other and with the TARDIS to provide Doctor with an interconnected support network as he faces alien threats. The Doctor, for example, his most iconic instrument is the sonic screwdriver. It is used primarily to pick locks and open doors, but by connecting with TARDIS's navigation controls, the screwdriver can set the time machine's next destination and steer its path, all remotely. In this way, linking technologies together can add vital new capabilities that make a task easier even in the most perilous situations. At Elsevier, we recognize the importance of creating a similar networks of support for the researcher. The various solutions I've just described today are examples of how we're addressing researchers' needs in each of their different roles. But it is still very time-consuming to determine which tool to use and to switch back and forth from different tools and platforms for these researchers as they wear different hats along the way. So, to further improve the efficiency of the researcher workflow, we are now focusing on connecting the dots between the various tools, making our tools talk to each other so that it's easy for researchers to seamlessly migrate between them as they do different jobs during the day. In doing this, we are increasingly connecting the existing network of reviewers, redditors, readers, funders, and collaborators, and putting the researcher at the center of it all. One example of how we're doing this is by integrating Mendeley with both ScienceDirect and Scopus. By linking these three platforms, we're enabling authors to stay on top of their research, organize their information, and use metrics to understand how their research is received. Let me explain how. Articles or publication information from ScienceDirect and Scopus can now be directly transferred to an author's Mendeley account. By just clicking a button in the drop-down menu, ScienceDirect and Scopus users can immediately export documents to the library on Mendeley, combining the process of searching for and storing and organizing valuable research articles. Since we added this button to connect to Mendeley directly via ScienceDirect and Scopus, the number of Mendeley subscribers has almost doubled. Key readership metrics from Mendeley's database have also been incorporated into Scopus. Now on the left side of the page, these metrics include how many people have saved this article to Mendeley, what level of researcher is reading the article, that is it a PhD student, is it a master's student, is it an undergraduate, and so on, and what country those readers come from. By enabling researchers to see metrics on how an article is being read, we hope that it gives a strong idea of which articles may be the most useful to them or where their own publications are making the most impact. This integration overall has streamlined the process of searching for key articles, storing and organizing them, and evaluating their impact. Another example of how we're increasingly connecting the dots between our tools is the integration of Scival and Pure. I've always liked to see Scival and Pure as similar to macroeconomics and microeconomics, Scival being a macro insight and Pure being a micro insight. It gives you the now analyzing the nitty-gritty details of research environment. Unlike Scival, Pure was not originally equipped for wide lens comparable evaluations. We have worked to combine the evaluation metrics in Scival with the data in Pure by better integrating the capabilities of these two platforms. Users can now select sets of publications in Pure and with a single click of a button, export them to Scival for benchmarking analysis. In this way, an administrator can use Scival's intuitive macro-level visualizations when examining the research performance of his or her institution's research as well as a competitor institution's researchers, labs, or departments. Furthermore, on the Pure platform, we have started including publication-level metrics that used to be found only on Scival. This is just the first step in our integration strategy for Scival and Pure. We're excited about the progress we've made thus far in connecting the dots between our various tools and platforms, and we plan to go much, much further, placing the researcher at the center of expanding network of tools. But we are aware that researchers might want to use our content in conjunction with external tools as well. So geoscientists, for example, can easily find relevant maps in Geofacets, but they may also need to use these maps with other specialized modeling programs. And to make that happen, we made it easy for users to incorporate this map data into things like Petrel or Studio, which are the programs used wisely in the oil industry to model seismic activity. This is just one example of how we're expanding our own tools to help them better talk to external platforms, saving researchers, again, time and workflow. So to briefly summarize my discussion, the research world is undergoing tremendous changes, very exciting changes. So we as publishers must also change in order to best meet the new needs of the research community. Just as TARDIS transports the doctor to wherever he wants and needs to be, I hope that STM publishers are constantly working to bring researchers where they need to be with their information requirements. We'll continue to perform our traditional role of curating high-quality content. That responsibility is as fixed and timeless as the blue police box in the TARDIS. But I hope I've shown you that Elsevier is expanding beyond its traditional role of being a content provider and trying to be a workflow supporter for the research community. Thank you.